Hey, 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 welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole with John and Ed. Good evening, one and all. It's great to see you again, isn't it,
We're
Ed?
back. Feels like last Friday was like yesterday. These shows seem to
That's
come
because last
around so
Friday is
quickly.
tomorrow.
No, I meant it was like yesterday.
Yes, I know what you meant. I'm just being a bad person, as usual. Now, remember, no swearing for the first 15 minutes.
No, I will do my absolute best, but
Yes, you
in,
better.
in, in this rather silly world we live in, it's
So,
very difficult not to.
where are we going tonight, Ed? Where are we going tonight?
Tonight we are going to the Taos Cave, which
Los
how you end
Tayas.
up well, Taos, Los Taos Cueva or something in Spanish. It's in Ecuador. And I don't know if you've got the slides that
Oh, I've got
put
slides, yeah?
together. We don't have loads and loads of slides, just a few because it's quite a scenic place, and unlike some of the rabbit holes we do, there are some pictures out there.
Turn head up. They say turn
Me,
head up. Well, it's Ben. Ben.
we're not back to that again, are we?
Oh, good God. I don't know. Just wait there, mate. Right. What's he like now? Talk to me.
What does the rest of the troll room think?
What does he sound like now? Talk to them, Ed. Talk to them. Come on.
Oh,
Tell us about these caves. Oh, they're right on the border of Peru.
yeah, in sort of the Peruvian Ecuadorian border. And I was looking up just before we came online. You can actually do excursions. There's trips, but you'll never catch me doing that. Honestly, it doesn't sound like fun. You got to take multiple jungle buses, and then when you get there, it sounds like it would end up like a dodgy Indiana Jones movie, with the usual humid rainforest and mosquitoes trying to eat you and all sorts of
Oh,
other fun things.
I've got a slide about
Um,
mosquitoes tomorrow night.
you
But
got a
that's fine.
slide about
That's
okay.
fine. We'll deal with that tomorrow night. Right. Anyway, so we are heading to. I didn't realize Ecuador was so squashed in between Colombia and Peru. It's quite tiny, isn't it? Although it does have a lot of height.
Comparatively speaking, it's not a big country. I think it's mainly created by the mountains and stuff around it, and the rivers, and I mean it kind of juts into Brazil. I've never been to South America, so the only thing that I know about South America is the Amazon rainforest. And it's not. I mean, it's near Colombia, so I guess they probably have pretty good marching powder in Ecuador as well.
Right. Okay. So we're going to talk about Los Tayos caves and then some weird conspiracies around it. I'm not sold on this one, but we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
I'm not either, for the record, but I just thought it's very rabbit holey, and a lot of the
Mhm.
shows that we've done recently have been really serious of intelligence agencies and all that kind of thing. And I just
Yeah.
thought it'd be fun to do a bit of Indiana Jonesing.
Yeah, I suppose it will be. So good evening to the troll room. So we've got Dreadeye and Julie Nectaridas. Ben, obviously, is the real review tonight. Paul Armstrong, Espresso Mechanic TV. Ray, who else we got? Britmate, and we've got Shalini and Julie on the vertical stream. Nice to see you over there. Right, okay. Let's kick off with our spiel, their spiel, their spiegel.
No, that's a
That's a
rubbish
newspaper.
German news. Yes,
Yeah, okay.
useless. That's German mainstream media. They're about as useful as the Daily Telegraph.
Right, okay. So nestled. I like that word. That's quite cool. Nestled within the eastern slopes of the Andes Mountains in Ecuador's Morono Santiago province lies Cueva de los Tayos, Cave of the Oilbirds. A remarkable underground formation that has captivated explorers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike. This natural wonder has become the centre of numerous theories, ranging from scientific explanations to claims of extraterrestrial involvement. Beyond its geological significance, Hyos Cave presents a fascinating intersection of archaeology, indigenous culture, and the human propensity for mystery, and possibly even something to do with cows and excrement. This report explores the cave's documented history, the various theories surrounding it, and similar cave systems worldwide that have generated comparable intrigue. There's a little introduction as to what we'll be delving into.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if people want to see the cave,
we do have some pictures of the cave.
We have some pictures of the cave.
If I could find my mouse or my producer.
I mean, from what I can tell on the surface, it's
a big
limestone caves. So it's a massive cave. It's not just.
This is a map of the caves made by British cavers who went there in the 60s, I think. So it is quite an extensive system, and there is people. At first I thought this was an AI generated pic, but I don't believe it is. These are people within the cave itself. Yeah, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we even had Neil Armstrong went there. We'll come to that in a little while.
We will come to that.
But the caves owe their name to the nocturnal oil birds, Steatornis caripensis, that inhabit the dark recesses.
It wasn't easy for him to say.
No, those Latin names was difficult. It's located near the confluence of the Santiago and Coangos rivers. Oh, that was all right.
No, I'm laughing at Ben. I'm not laughing at you.
Right. So it's a limestone and shale cave formation that sits at an elevation of 539 meters above sea level. The cave's primary entrance features a dramatic 65-meter vertical shaft leading to an extensive network of passages extending approximately 4.6 kilometers with a vertical range of 201 meters. Among its most impressive features is a massive chamber measuring 90 by 240 meters. The cave formed through natural geological processes approximately 200 million years ago, and scientifically speaking, its creation follows a typical pattern of karstification, whereby limestone dissolves through interaction with slightly acidic rainwater containing dissolved carbon dioxide. This process creates the characteristic stalactites and stalagmites found throughout the cave system and in lots of other limestone caves as well, which are formed when calcium carbonate precipitates out of the solution as water drips from cave ceilings. These formations develop concentric growth rings similar to trees, providing valuable data about the geological and climatic conditions at the time of their formation. Now, access to the cave is restricted, and it requires permission from local Shuar authorities. And I think the Shuar are a local Ecuadorian tribe.
Yeah, they go down there. I believe they go down there in the spring and catch the fledgling oil birds and have their wicked.
Yeah, I don't know why they're called oil birds, but anyway,
I don't know. Maybe because
they
have oil.
It's possible, and I mean, apparently they do. There are certain rituals. I mean, I think that the caves are relatively sacred to these people. So yeah, and then in 1976 we had the Neil Armstrong expedition, which if you pop onto slide 9, you can see our friend who
Neil. I'm not sure about
story
Neil
says
Armstrong.
He went to the moon, but that one's up for debate.
I'm not sure about Neil Armstrong.
What do you mean you're not sure about Neil Armstrong?
I'm not sure about him. There's something about him that I'm just not sure about. As if he's not quite engaged.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of an odd-looking bloke as well, but for the first man to land on the moon, he was remarkably silent. I mean, pretty much, and pretty much every other astronaut said more than he did.
Yeah.
And he's just, you'd think, I don't know, maybe that's just his personality type, that he's that sort of quiet and unassuming, not wanting to be in the limelight and all of that stuff.
So Teos, sorry.
No, go on. You did no. You go.
Teos Cave achieved global recognition following the publication of Eric von Daniken's book Gold of the Gods. Have you read that one, Ed? Gold of the Gods in 1972. I've read Chariots of the Gods, not when it came out, but shortly thereafter. His extraordinary claims about the cave prompted one of the most ambitious cave explorations in history, the 1976 expedition. Do you remember 1976, Ed? Because that was a glorious summer in the UK. Anyway, that was organised by Scottish engineer Stan Hall. So this landmark venture involved over 100 participants, including scientific experts, military personnel from both Ecuador and Britain, and perhaps most notably American astronaut Neil Armstrong, who served as the honorary president of the expedition. Armstrong, famous as the first human to set foot on the moon, allegedly, during NASA's Apollo 11 mission in 1969, brought significant attention to the exploration effort and probably brought some cash and funding to it as well, no doubt. But that's just me being cynical, as I sometimes am.
Well, I mean, ultimately, these sorts of things, they do take money. And if you can have celebrities kind of shining a spotlight on a particular expedition or whatever, and that leads to money coming in, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Personally, I don't see why. I mean, it's certainly a better use of someone's celebrity than other things.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Well, the expedition was meticulous in its approach, employing 8 experienced British cavers who thoroughly so I was going to say enjoyed, but who thoroughly explored the cave system and produced a detailed survey map. And we've shown you the detailed survey map. It was quite extensive. I can show you again, because they've obviously had fun with the little scribbles as they've been caving, so to speak. What do you call it? Spelunking? No?
Yeah, it's called spelunking, but I don't know where that name comes from.
Yeah, but it's a cracking name, and we'll just embrace that.
Yeah, it to me, that's one of the most barking mad hobbies I can possibly think of. I mean, why?
Especially when they start squeezing themselves through places that humans shouldn't really squeeze through. Anyway, while the team did make some significant archaeological discoveries, including passageways that appear to be neatly cut and polished deep inside the cave, and indeed burial sites dating back to approximately 1500 BC, they found no evidence of von Daniken's more fantastical claims. The expedition confirmed that Teos was indeed a remarkable natural formation with archaeological significance, but not the repository of alien artefacts or advanced technology that some had claimed.
So the most enduring controversial theory about the Teos Cave is the existence of a metal library, a chamber allegedly containing thousands of metal plates inscribed with the history and knowledge of an advanced civilization. This theory originates primarily with Juan Maurice, a Hungarian-Argentinian explorer who claimed to have discovered this library in the mid-1960s. And if you pop on to slide...
Yes, he was a bit of a strange character slide as 4. Well, because his name wasn't Juan.
No.
No, he was Hungarian originally, but he left his wife or split up with her and went and married an Argentinian, I think, or something like that. Changed his name to Juan, and then started becoming more famous in Argentina than he was in Hungary. But before you go on, Ed, I just want to bring to everyone's attention that our resident historian, Nick Toridos, has indeed elucidated both the oil bird and the spelunking name. So the oil bird, locally known as the guacharo, is a bird species found in the northern areas of South America, including the Caribbean island of Trinidad. It is the only living species in the genus. Thank you. And spelunca is Latin for cave. There you go. You learn something new every day. And we doff our caps to you if we have... Where's my cap? Do I have a cap? No, I don't have a cap to doff. I have mislaid my cap. Right, carry on, Ed.
So Moritz's claims gained widespread attention when featured in Eric von Daniken's best-selling book, Gold of the Gods, which we covered already. Von Daniken vividly describes entering the cave and personally witnessing a gaping hole which led down to the depths and exploring the age-old underworld of a strange, unknown race. These claims presented what he called the most incredible, fantastic story of the century. It was Eric von Daniken. He called most stories. I mean, he wasn't a particularly subtle person. However, a subsequent investigation revealed serious problems with von Daniken's account. In a 1974 interview with Der Spiegel, von Daniken admitted to embellishing aspects of the story, calling them dramaturgische Effekte, theatrical effects. Oh, yeah. 4 years later, he made an even more damning admission that he'd never actually been inside Taos Cave and had fabricated the entire cave adventure. This revelation severely undermined the credibility of the metallic library theory as presented in his book. Well, obviously. Now, despite the debunking, some researchers like Stan Hall continue to believe in the library's existence. Hall stated in an interview that not only do I believe with all my heart that the Golden Library exists, but beyond being a unique treasure, I believe it is a chapter of the history of South America. He speculated that there might even be two libraries housing thousands of golden books, though he admitted never having seen them personally. So we've now got two freaking metal libraries that people claim to have seen, but two of them have already retracted the fact that they'd even been to the caves.
Is that the kind of thing that we're talking about, this alleged metal, or is this just a lump of metal that's been printed or whatever?
Well, I mean, what do you mean, the slides?
Yeah.
That I'm not sure. It comes up in a Google images search of the Taos Cave. Now, I don't know.
This comes up as well, but this is fake. That's definitely fake. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I to be honest, it's the internet, so you can't necessarily. I mean, Father Cressy, who's the there's another controversial element in the Taos saga, and he was Father Carlo Crespi, was an Italian priest who amassed a large collection of artifacts allegedly connected to the cave.
Yeah.
According to some accounts, Crespi accumulated over 50,000 objects, including approximately 3,000 gold artifacts adorned with gemstones. These items were reportedly given to him as gifts by the Shuar people.
Gifts.
The Crespi gifts.
Gifts.
Well, that's so yeah. I mean, if you got that slide up,
what one's that?
It's slide number 13, and you'll see that Father Crespi is not the most trustworthy looking individual.
He looks like Fagin.
He does. He's got a distinctive Victorian Hollywood bad guy type vibe. And I mean, who knows where this stuff comes from? One thing that I will point out is in the bottom, the middle picture on the right hand side, we have our handbag again.
Oh,
they show up everywhere.
The handbag. What's in these handbags?
It's. I swear, if that mystery is ever solved, I reckon the handbags contain the secret to all of the mysteries.
Yeah.
And if you could figure out what those were about, you could tie everything together. All of the different pictures with the handbags and everything would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think it would, mate. I think it would.
It could have been a laptop bag.
It could be the football with the codes.
Could be. Well, why would they all have them?
I don't know. I'm just making shit up at the moment.
So the Crespi collection has been the subject of intense speculation. Some theorists claim the artifacts show symbols and writings similar to ancient Sumerian and Egyptian cultures, suggesting either cultural contact or a common extraterrestrial source.
However, hold on. How can we jump to aliens from that?
It was Eric von Daniken, isn't it?
That's just ridiculous.
But this is all roads lead to aliens. Didn't you know that?
The leap to aliens is just too easily done with these people. It really is.
Yeah, and I think they're much more likely to consider aliens than they are to consider some sort of lost civilization that's not actually lost, that just went into hiding, went underground. I don't know, went to go and live in the hollow moon or whatever.
Well, I actually, I'll think. I'll maybe go against you slightly there, because I think there was a lost civilization, and I think
I'm sure there was.
Hancock's maybe got it right when he said we have collectively forgotten, our heritage and the people that came before us.
I think it's been hidden from us. I mean, we have forgotten, but our collective amnesia is deliberate.
Oh, I'm going to have to explore this. Just hold on your horses, people, because we have a side conspiracy developing as we speak from Mr. Ed here. So you think that the lost civilization is actively being hidden from us? So that would imply, right, that we have evidence that confirms it. Do you think we do?
Yes, absolutely.
So who? This is a big question. Who is hiding this evidence, and what leads you to think that may be the case?
Well, simply put, there is plenty of places in the world that contradict the official explanation of where human civilization started, which is Sumeria.
Agreed.
We have places like Göbekli Tepe, Derinkuyu, and Gunung Padang in Malaysia. Is Malaysia or Indonesia or somewhere?
Give you that. We also have DNA evidence that kind of shows that the three main races are completely distinct. Caucasians, people,
Orientals,
sub-Saharan Africans, and Orientals. Yeah, you like to use that word? Is that offensive these days? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. You can't utter any bloody words without offending someone.
No, you certainly can, and that's good, because the first swear word came in there at 22 minutes past the hour.
Bloody ridiculous is not swearing.
Okay, carry on.
Crying out loud.
Right, we're letting Ned away with this potential conspiracy.
Well, no, the simple fact is that there is plenty of evidence of organizations like the Smithsonian hiding things. Evidence of, like, giants. People say they found something and then the Smithsonian show up and then suddenly it's gone. That's seen at the end of the first Indiana Jones movie, where they take the Ark of the Covenant and they put it into a big warehouse. Now, I'm not saying that there is necessarily, well, actually I am saying this, there's probably a giant warehouse somewhere where anything that they find, it's like you can't hide. If you look at how much they're going out of their way not to excavate Göbekli Tepe, and how much like the people that have their theories about Gunung Padang just get completely dismissed, and that suggests actively hiding the past. Why? I mean, Göbekli Tepe is easily one of the most significant archaeological finds in the last 50 years.
And it beggars belief as to why they're burying it and leaving it for future generations. Yeah.
I mean, it should be an all of humanity endeavor. It should be something that the United Nations gets involved in and say, look, this isn't just about Turkey. This is about human origins and our history. And we should put every country puts some money into a big pot, and we use that pot to just completely excavate it and send people in to figure out what it is and what it means. And you do the same because there's hidden chambers under Gunung Padang that are completely off limits.
Okay.
Which suggests to me that somewhere at the top echelons of society, more is known than us little peons know. And that suggests that something, scrolls, books, tablets, I don't know, something has survived. I mean, if you look at all of the interest that there was back in 2003 when the Americans went back into Iraq and they allegedly found Gilgamesh's tomb.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was stuff in the WikiLeaks, what is it, the Hillary Clinton emails, where Clinton at one point was really interested in whether something had been found, whether they'd found the tomb of Gilgamesh. So there's so many different. I mean, can I prove that?
Yeah, see,
there
this
are
is
ancient
right.
artifacts. No, of course not.
This is the problem.
Do I strongly suspect it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the problem. You're using the words evidence and facts and playing fast and loose with them.
Yeah, I know. This is down the show is called Down the Rabbit Hole. Right?
Yes, but I've got to maintain now my skeptical, evidence-based approach. That's part of my persona, don't you know?
Yes, and the platform we're on probably appreciates your fact-checkiness.
Yeah. So, yes. So I think what we can say is that Ed's little side conspiracy there will leave to bubble under until he has more proof to give us, and we can make a definitive call on it, because at this moment in time, I don't think we can.
There's no, I very much doubt anything like that will come to the surface. It's just, I don't think that you can spend as much time as I've spent down rabbit holes without coming to the conclusion that there is something being hidden, that there is and I'm not talking about Tartaria, I'm not talking about that sort of thing, because I don't actually think the whole mud flood, I think they're confusing the mud flood and Tartaria with the last disaster cycle.
Yeah, I think it could be.
But I do think that...
Well, you know where I sit on this? And this is a fairly new position for me, to be fair, because I love this stuff. I've loved this stuff since day one. I used to read all the books. I used to read Von Daniken. I used to read Berlitz. I read everything, all these people. And yet, the more and more I'm digging into it, the more and more I'm thinking that they're all nuts. I'm really starting to think that they're drawing conclusions and making assumptions and connecting dots that just aren't there. And it's quite disappointing from a personal perspective, you know, because when you really dig into it...
I've always found Eric von Daniken a thoroughly disappointing person, because when you read the first von Daniken book that you ever read, you get really sucked into it, because he's got a good way with words, and he writes things and makes them sound very believable. Yeah. But then you actually start doing a bit of research about von Daniken and the way he contradicts himself, and then you write an entire book about something and then completely deny ever having been there, for example.
Yeah.
The
man did have a theme park as well at one point.
Mm-hmm. But the simple fact is that, to me, it's now indisputable that there was an ancient civilization that predates our own by thousands of years. We don't know how long that civilization existed for.
Yeah.
But we do know that they had the ability to do things with stone that we just don't understand and can't replicate.
Yeah, that's like the megalithic blocks and things, and they are all over the world as well. I mean, we see them in every continent and every country almost.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of similarities between them. I mean, you can look at the blocks in some of the pyramids and stuff in South America, and they look very similar to stuff that you find in Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you look at places like, if you look at the Inca, you can see that their work is vastly inferior to the work that went before them.
Mm.
You know, because they've built stuff on top of these megalithic ones, and their
the same as the pyramids.
Yeah, their work is appalling, absolutely appalling. Yeah, you would think if the Egyptians had built the pyramids to start with, then their later ones would have got better, not worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they would have at least been able to replicate them. And the later ones don't even come close to replicating the originals.
Yeah, they don't. And Nectaridis makes a good point. Academics don't like new or different ideas. Well, of course they don't, because it upsets the apple cart. It's like, this is the problem with all of science, though, isn't it? Because the way it's funded now, if you go against the mainstream, you don't get telescope time, you don't get access to the collider, you don't access to the computing that you need. You know, if you're going against the mainstream, you just don't get funded. Yeah?
Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And to me, that's not how you do science.
No,
that's not what science is all about.
It's not. Right. Okay. Oh, good grief. Are you carrying on with your bit about head shrinking? Or is that my bit? No?
Bit of head shrinking.
Are you carrying on with the...
I can just finish that off because we were on the Crespi collection, and some parts of it are preserved at Ecuador Central Bank. Many of the most controversial gold pieces with alleged Sumerian and Egyptian symbolism have disappeared. This disappearance has only fueled further speculation about their significance and the possible suppression of evidence.
Yeah, things do tend to disappear quite a lot, though. But it is South America, so... And you know, if you're South American, don't get me wrong. As an individual person, I may well love you, but there is a bit of corruption in that neck of the woods, generally. Not that there isn't here.
Have you seen the state of the British government recently?
Excuse me, did I not just say? Not that there isn't here, you know? Anyway, right, moving on. Beyond scientific studies and controversial theories, the Los Teos Cave holds profound cultural significance for the indigenous Shuar people who have been its traditional guardians for millennia. Millennia, they say. The Shuar, historically known for their practice of head shrinking, have maintained connection with the cave since at least 4000 BC. They consider the cave sacred and have integrated it into their spiritual practices. And access to the cave today remains restricted, with visitors required to obtain permission from the Shuar Center Federation and pay a tax designated to improve local communities. There you go. A tax. This arrangement recognises both the Shuar's traditional authority over the site and their ongoing economic interest in its management. Recent observations by explorers like Alex Cionetti have noted concerning declines in the tail bird population, potentially linked to increasing adventure tourism and incursions by visitors. This decline highlights the environmental impact of growing interest in the cave and raises questions about sustainable management of this unique ecosystem. They're going to shut it, aren't they? They're going to shut it. They're going to stop people visiting it.
Well,
that's going to be another Gobekli. Going to be another Gobekli Tepe. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Head shrinking. I don't know much about head shrinking. Maybe Nectaridis knows a thing or two about head shrinking and how one would go about it. The Real Review has gifted a Sergeant Grumpy membership to someone. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, a Real Review. That's Ben. What a stalwart.
Thank you, Ben.
Cheers, mate. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Let's find out about head shrinking quickly.
Well, no, you carry on with the script.
All right.
Somebody will come up with head shrinking. Don't worry about it. I'm sure Nectaridis is on the case as we speak.
Now, Taos Cave is far from the only subterranean formation to generate mystery and controversial theories. Numerous caves around the world share similar characteristics or have sparked comparable speculation about their origins and contents. There's the Longyu Caves of China, located in the Zhejiang province. Chinese pronunciation is always difficult. The Longyu Caves represent an extensive ancient underground complex considered in China to be the ninth wonder of the ancient world. These caves feature enigmatic stone rooms, bridges, and pillars with parallel chisel marks that have puzzled researchers. Dating back at least 2,000 years, they represent one of the largest underground excavations of ancient times. Mexico also hosts several remarkable cave systems. The Yucatan Peninsula contains a vast underwater cave network formed after an ancient asteroid impact approximately 66 million years ago. The same impact believed to have contributed to dinosaur extinction. Over millennia, these limestone sinkholes collapsed or eroded, creating an extensive network of flooded caverns. They're called cenotes, and I used to have one of the dive buddies that I've met on my travels was a cave diving instructor that worked in the cenotes for a long time, and some of the pictures I've seen are just absolutely amazing. Anyway, perhaps the most spectacular of Mexico's cave of crystals, home to some of the largest natural crystals ever discovered. Some selenite crystals exceed 30 feet in length, creating an otherworldly environment. Temperatures inside soar above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, making exploration extremely challenging without specialized equipment. So, John, do you want to carry on?
Sounds interesting. It looks like Real Review has managed to gift a subscription to our channel to himself. Well done, mate. I'm pretty sure.
New donation from Nick Taradus.
Nectaridus. Nectaridus has come on board and dropped us a donation. Thank you very much, sir. Going to get my cap. I'll take another cap.
It's always kind. Nectaridus, you always make John so happy.
It's the BMW Williams Formula 1 team, number 6. That was David Coulthard. I doff my cap to you, sir. There we go. Right. Thank you. What are you laughing at?
You.
Right. Where are we? Krubera Cave in Georgia. That's Georgia, not in America. Caucasus Mountains holds the distinction of being the deepest known cave in the world, plunging more than 7,000 feet into the earth. Its cold, damp conditions and complex network of tunnels make it a formidable challenge for explorers. But I'm pretty sure our Ben could get through that in jig time. Romania's Movie Cave, or Movaio Cave, presents another...
Moville.
Yeah, okay, I did correct myself. Presents another scientific mystery. Cut off from the outside world for over 5 million years, it harbours a unique ecosystem sustained by chemosynthesis. That's easy for you to say. Rather than photosynthesis. Despite toxic air filled with carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Well, carbon dioxide is not toxic. Hydrogen sulfide might be, I'm not sure, but carbon dioxide is not toxic as such. It's just you can't breathe it. Strange adapted species have evolved to thrive in this isolated darkness. In Belize, Actun, Tunshil Mukno, the cave of the crystal. Oh god, that word always. Sepulchre. Served as a sacrificial site for ancient Mayan rituals. Today it houses well-preserved skeletal remains and ancient pottery, although many passages remain unexplored due to the cave's complexity and sacred nature. Oh, well, there you go.
So, mainstream geology explains cave formations through natural processes like karstification. Alternative theories abound regarding caves like Taos and similar formations worldwide. These range from speculative to fringe theories that challenge conventional scientific understanding. We have the hollow earth connections, and some proponents suggest extensive cave systems might serve as pathways to an inner earth supposedly inhabited by advanced civilizations. This hollow earth theory, while rejected by modern science, has historical roots dating back to notable scientists like Sir Edmund Halley in the 17th century, same guy that the comet was named after. Believers point to extensive cave networks like Kentucky's Mammoth Cave as potential entrances to this hypothesized inner world. Now, one of the things, if we just go back to the slides for a second, one of the if you look at slide 10, this is from the Taos cave. And this is the it's the Arch. What is it called? The Moritz Arch, named after the explorer guy. And that has some very not natural looking straight lines and angles and
Right, okay, but
things.
this is limestone. This is bullshit, right? This is limestone. Limestone forms fractures like this. You get this all the time in limestone, and even if you look at the hexagonal shape in the Giant's Causeway, that doesn't look natural either, does it? But hexagons, it all turns out to be perfectly explainable, and yeah, limestone does do that, Ed.
I know, but all I'm saying is that
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons it's people point at that, not understanding the geology
Yeah,
and the nature of limestone, as you're saying, and particularly back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, and it's just one of those things that people point at and say, "Oh, this is not
look, a
natural."
wall. That's what they could do, don't they? They go, look, a wall. And sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm. Another category of alternative explanations suggests these cave systems were created or modified by advanced alien civilizations whose technological achievements have been lost to history. Proponents point to seemingly artificial features like straight passages, right angles, and smooth surfaces as evidence of ancient engineering rather than natural formation. As we've discovered that a lot of this stuff can be explained by natural formations, although not all of it. I mean, there are certain
not poo-pooing
things.
at all. Not poo-pooing at all. But in this instance, that being limestone, I'm pretty
It's also, I mean, if there was a lot more of it and there were flat floors and a little bit more stuff that looked like it had been engineered rather than naturally formed, then I'd be a bit more inclined to believe it. But what we can see from the pictures that are available, to me, it just looks like a natural cave formation.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Now, Lake Titicaca in the Peruvian Andes, legends persist about mysterious underwater caves in a lost underground city. Researchers like Bolivian archaeologist Arthur why have we got all this pronunciation shit? Arthur Poznansky have investigated claims of tunnels and underground chambers in this region, with some divers reporting submerged architectural structures, including stone walls and terraces. Similar claims have emerged about the Grand Canyon, where stories of hidden tunnels and underground structures have circulated for over a century. One frequently cited account comes from an April 5th, 1909 Arizona Gazette article describing the discovery of an immense and rich cave, suggesting an ancient civilization, possibly of Egyptian origin. However, no corroborating evidence has emerged to support these claims, and no records confirm the existence of the explorers mentioned in the story. But there are sections of the Grand Canyon that are closed off that you can't get to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reports of caves being found in the Grand Canyon that have been sealed up. And there's actually, I mean, if you're on the Colorado River, you can actually see certain sections of it where it actually does look like people have concreted over caves or something. Yeah, I didn't find any pictures, but I have seen them online.
Yeah, I've certainly read reports of people discovering things like hieroglyphics and that neck of the woods, and not even just in the Grand Canyon, but in other parts of South America, not South America, southern United States.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on. Perhaps the most speculative explanations involve extraterrestrial beings. These theories suggest either direct alien construction of caves. Why? And underground
Lizard
structures.
People.
Yeah, or extraterrestrial influence on ancient human civilizations who then created these formations. Well, that's maybe if the Volgon destructor fleet came along and started bombing us, we would take to the ground,
The what destructor fleet?
The Volgon destructor fleet. Have you never seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No.
Oh my goodness, my man! You need to watch that or read it. Douglas Adams.
I tried reading it. Douglas Adams just irritates me.
Oh, dear, dear, dear. Proponents often point to alleged similarities between symbols found in different parts of the world as evidence of a common extraterrestrial source. Well, it's evidence of something, but it's not necessarily evidence of a common extraterrestrial source. I think that's a bit of a leap.
That's a massive leap. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, it's more like evidence of some sort of ancient civilization that has been lost in the sands of time.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about earlier on, I do think that when mainstream science has a narrative that they have to guard at all costs, the likelihood that if some sort of artifact or something that conclusively proved, say, contact between the Egyptians and the Mesoamericans or some ancient civilization, or that's potentially why they're so keen to keep Göbekli Tepe covered up, because that may well end up having more evidence of advanced civilizations. I mean, if you look at even just some of the alignments of these megaliths with the stars and the different sacred geometry associated with the pyramid and things like that, and also what we were talking about earlier about techniques for manipulating stone and being able to create gigantic granite blocks that get moved hundreds of miles and things like that.
Yeah.
So can we say conclusively that there is such a thing? No, but there's an awful lot of evidence of stuff being buried and covered up and hidden.
Mm-hmm. There is. Moving on, in Ecuador specifically, some alternative researchers have claimed that evidence of advanced cultures would be found in the region. Recent discoveries using LiDAR technology in the Apano River region have revealed hundreds of tola, semi-pyramidal structures spanning over 300 square kilometres. While these findings confirm sophisticated pre-Columbian construction, mainstream archaeology attributes them to indigenous civilizations rather than extraterrestrial influence. Well, why would one leap to the stars when we've already been talking earlier in the show about lost civilizations? I think it's more likely there was a lost civilization before us than, extraterrestrials came and visited us and showed us how to build things and then just went away.
Unless all the stories about the Anunnaki are true. But we covered that last time.
They are. It could be.
I mean, we did do a show about the Anunnaki a few weeks ago.
We did, yeah. Yeah, I don't think we did it justice thinking back on it. But anyway, never mind.
I mean, we had a go. The thing is that it's really difficult to do it justice because there's so much speculation. And I mean, you can keep to the mainstream attitudes, or you can go down the Zachariah Stitchin rabbit hole. But Stitchin, a lot of his stuff is actually really full of holes. And I don't know. We sort of covered about the Sumerian cuneiform and some of the cylinder seals and things like that. I think we had a pretty good go at it.
Yeah. I've been a bit flippant. I do that occasionally.
Occasionally. But I mean, it does highlight the tension between scientific explanations and alternative theories for caves like Taos and some of the other things we talk about.
It does.
And reflect broader patterns in how humans approach mystery and the unknown. From a scientific perspective, caves form through well-understood geological processes occurring over millions of years. Stalactites and stalagmites develop through the precipitation of dissolved minerals, while passages and chambers result from water erosion through soluble rock. When features appear unusually straight or polished, scientists point to natural processes that can create such formations. The definitive 1976 British Ecuadorian expedition to Taos Cave concluded it formed through natural geological processes rather than artificial construction, despite finding some archaeological evidence of human habitation and use. There's a big difference between humans sheltering in a cave and humans creating the cave.
Indeed, there is.
And there's plenty of evidence all over the world of humans being in caves, because if you're a puny little human and you're trying to escape the weather and the bears, then a cave is a pretty sensible place to hold up.
Or if you go, if you subscribe to the electric universe theory, you'd be escaping the scarification of the planet by massive electrical storms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because
Well,
one of the theories is the Grand Canyon wasn't formed by water, but was taken out by, when you look at when you look at it from above, it doesn't look like it's water formed because of all the side fissures, which are just as deep,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot thinner. So it does look a bit like electrical. What do you call it? It's not mining. They call it something else. Electrical something.
But it's a interstellar electrical discharge that comes from the sun, and there's actually evidence of it on Mars. What is it called? Valmarinaris on Mars. Is it that one?
Can't
remember the name.
Yeah.
And that actually looks like. Do you know the
pattern that lightning makes when it hits sand, that kind of thing,
or electricity? You see artists that they apply an electrical charge to wood, and you get this pattern burnt into the wood.
Oh, I've forgotten what that's called.
I know there's a special name for it, but that actually we're talking about that on a cosmic scale. And it's something that I've heard Ben Davidson talk about on Space Weather News, that the sun is, under certain conditions, is potentially capable of releasing some sort of massive electrical discharge.
Yeah.
Which is bloody frightening. I mean, giant solar space lasers. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's not something that sounds like much fun. So, but there's plenty of evidence of people living underground. I mean, that the city in Turkey, Derinkuyu, I think it's called.
In Malta.
Well, there's plenty. There's plenty of megaliths in Malta.
Yeah, but there's plenty of underground. There's an underground city in Malta.
Mm-hmm.
Effectively, there's catacombs in Malta that nobody can map or know about, or they don't know about because they're so extensive.
Mm-hmm.
Quite an awful lot of unexplored area, and there's another place in Turkey as well, isn't there? Is that the one you were talking about there?
Yeah, I think it's called Derinkuyu, where it's an underground city that supposedly could house 20,000 people with all of their livestock and everything else, and actually quite comfortable. I mean, some of the sort of chambers and bits that you'd think, well, you've got plenty of water, you've got plenty of air, and I mean, the official explanation of that is that it was built to protect from raiders or roving bands of religious people or something. But to me, that actually strikes me more as being built to protect them from something natural, like something coming from the sun.
Cataclysm, from the sky.
Well, I mean, you have a weakening geomagnetic field, extra solar radiation, a flare, sunspots, whatever, and the Earth is more vulnerable, and it's letting in more kind of cosmic rays and stuff than it would normally, and actually underground would be the best place for you.
Indeed. Did you finish that paragraph? No.
I've finished. Well, the scientific understanding and alternative perspectives. We are on paragraph 3, I think.
Well, you want to carry on and finish that section?
Sure. In those promoting alternative theories often focus on aspects that seem difficult to explain through known natural processes, such as extremely straight passages or precisely cut angles. They may interpret archaeological findings through frameworks that assume advanced technology or extraterrestrial involvement rather than indigenous human achievement. And the divide in interpretation often reflects different epistemological approaches. The scientific method's emphasis on empirical evidence and natural explanation versus more intuitive patterns of reasoning that may incorporate spiritual beliefs, historical anomalies, or a desire for hidden knowledge.
Yes. Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
and also, I mean, there is something mysterious about caves. There's also something. I mean, personally, I find them quite scary because I'm not particularly good in enclosed spaces,
Mhm.
and the idea of spelunking into a few hundred. I mean, just any depth, getting into a hole in the ground and going for a look around. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't have enough trust in me not to trust that the Earth isn't going to have some geological event while I'm down in the cave and I get trapped there.
or a sudden rain shower and you end up getting flooded or whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, if we think about this metal library in the Taos cave, if you think about it logically, why would you put? I mean, because that particular cave system, if you wanted to get loads of metal books and these heavy gold tablets or whatever, and you wanted to hide them, I mean, there strikes me that there are better places to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think caves are good for one thing and one thing only: cheese.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Anyway, in conclusion, the Taos Cave represents a fascinating intersection of natural wonder, archaeological significance, indigenous culture, and human imagination. While scientific investigation has largely resolved questions about its formation through natural geologic processes, it continues to inspire speculation and alternative theories that extend far beyond mainstream understanding. The story of Taos teaches us several important lessons. It demonstrates the tension between scientific rigour and the human propensity for mystery and wonder. It highlights the importance of indigenous knowledge and stewardship in preserving unique natural and cultural sites. And it reminds us that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, as demonstrated by the unravelling of von Daniken's fabricated account of the cave. Whether approached through the lens of geology, archaeology, indigenous spirituality, or alternative theories, Taos Cave remains a remarkable natural formation worthy of continued study and protection. As exploration continues at Taos and similar caves worldwide, perhaps the greatest wisdom lies in maintaining both scientific skepticism and an openness to wonder, recognizing that the natural world itself often contains more fascination than fiction.
I would take issue with this notion of scientific rigor because I don't think scientists are necessarily as rigorous as they should be.
I very much think they aren't. I think that's the problem, that we don't really have scientific rigor. That's one of the big things.
But that also the problem with that is when you haven't got that, it's very difficult to trust the scientists.
Yep.
And when you lose trust in the scientists, you automatically open yourself up to some of the alternative explanations. And there's nothing wrong with the alternative explanations. That's what this show is all about, is looking at these things and trying to do it with a skeptical eye, but also being open to the possibility that some of these alternative explanations are in fact more plausible than the official explanation. But in the case of the Taos Cave, I'm not seeing anything that suggests that there is some sort of hidden metal booked library that exists in these caves. I mean, the expedition in 1976 seems like it was really rigorous, and they went there to actually investigate the stories of this library and didn't find anything. And there's no, I couldn't find any rumors of things being hauled out of that cave. I mean, to start with, if there was some sort of metal library, it would be bloody difficult to get out. And at the same time, if you wanted to concrete over it or try and seal it up to make it look like natural formation, you'd have to schlep loads of concrete and all sorts of other stuff down there to make that happen, because you can't just move big boulders around. So I'm always open to be proved wrong, but as it stands, I'm not seeing any kind of evidence of an ancient civilization in these caves.
Yeah, I'm not either. I've had a quick look at how to shrink a head. And you know what? I'm not really going to go into it on the channel because it's quite gruesome. Mainly to do with removing of certain parts and getting rid of certain other parts and whatever. But it's not
Lots of boiling.
Yeah, but it's not as hard as you think, because they take away the bone. You know, they don't bother with that. So really, it's pretty. They'll just. I'm going to leave it at that end. Anyway, Hatchie says that Manly P. Hall, Stitchin, and Jordan Maxwell, and David Credo Matwa, I'm not sure which one talks sense, will probably never know in this realm of time. I would agree. You probably won't. Maybe none of them talk sense. Maybe they all have some degree of it. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't think we will find out.
The thing is that a lot of them take. It's like Stitchin. He takes all of these cylinder seals and the cuneiform, and he just translates it completely differently to how everybody else is translating it.
Yeah, I know. Says
his version is the correct one, and creates this entire narrative about Anunnaki and Enki and Enlil. And I mean, those gods, they existed but it's a case of, were they mythological figures, or were they actual sort of, not necessarily flesh and blood, but physical entities that interacted with people? And as we covered in the Anunnaki episode, I mean, an awful lot of Stitchin's translations were provably wrong. And that then kind of cast doubt on his other theories, which is kind of a shame, because, I mean, his theories are fun.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, well, that kind of brings us to the end of the caves. There was a cave down near where I used to stay, that was inhabited round about, I believe it was round about 12th, 13th, 14th century, something like that, by a family called the Beans. Sonny Bean being the father, or the precursor of them all. And they turned out to be a bunch of cannibals that used to prey on travellers.
God, Scottish cannibals.
Yeah.
Did they turn their victims into haggis?
I have no idea what they did with their victims. I'm really not. I really don't probably want to know either. But yeah,
no.
Sonny Bean. Maybe we
I
should
didn't know they were Scottish cannibals.
Oh yeah, look at the Scots. We get into everything, don't we? I mean, we invented everything in the world, more or less. Well,
yeah,
we did.
Right.
Well, okay. You show me an invention that didn't have a Scottish finger in it somewhere. Yeah, see if you actually go and have a look. You'd be surprised how many things.
Put me on the spot. I'm gonna get onto. I'm sure Grok would be able to tell me.
Grok will tell you how many things we did invent.
Right. Let's.
Oh, you've muted yourself.
Didn't mean to do that. Let's get a quick answer to it. I'm going to.
He's muted himself again. He must be typing furiously. Show me inventions that Scottish people never invented. Oh, he won't let anything go, will he? Oh, get a cheers.
I'm back again, just because the typing's really loud. Right, so here are a few notable examples of inventions that originated outside of Scotland. The wheel, the light bulb, the airplane, the internet, and the printing press.
Who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Uh-huh. Where did he come from?
Although, well, no, hang on. Thomas Edison is often credited with its practical development in 1879. Humphrey Davy, who was English, demonstrated the principle earlier in 1802.
Who made it work? Who sold it?
Thomas Edison.
Yeah, where did he come from? Was he not
He's
born in
American.
Edinburgh?
I don't know. He's American.
Was he not born in Edinburgh?
Well, it still didn't invent it because that Humphrey Davy guy invented it. And Orville and Wilbur Wright were absolutely not Scottish.
But they didn't invent flying, though. It was a French dude, wasn't it?
Just an insufferable pedant sometimes.
Yeah, I am. But if you actually look at the list, it's long and extensive, just like your Johnson. What movie's that from? The list is long and distinguished, just like his Johnson.
Oh dear. Title's Cave. Yeah, it was good.
Title's Cave. Done.
Yeah.
That
was done and dusted now.
I quite enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, no, it was good. And I mean, we'll be back tomorrow, so we might as well.
We will be back tomorrow. There will be more than one of us. There'll be
Ben's joining us tomorrow as well.
Two of us, yeah. We're going to have a riot. Quiet riot. So yeah, our little friend Ben will be joining us tomorrow. So that should be fun. So come back tomorrow at 9 p.m. UK time, and we'll be diving into the madness that is the world as you know it. And I'd like to leave you with a little thought. And it did appeal to me. It tickled my fancy, this one. I saw a tweet today in which a guy says, "It really pisses me off every time I watch a historical movie and they tell the archers to fire." Because before the invention of gunpowder, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, because archers were told to knock, draw, and loose.
Exactly. So there you go. Ponder that one. It's been great. For you. Wrong button.